minutes out of your day to join me for a discussion about how we can use this interesting, unique, compelling remote access solution to actually improve the security posture of our remote Windows managed clients. So first, a brief introduction, both myself and Celestix Networks. For those of you who are not familiar with me, my name is Richard Hicks. I am the Director of Technical Services for security appliance vendor Celestix Networks. I'm a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, or MVP, in the Enterprise Security discipline. I have a number of Microsoft certifications, been in the business for quite some time, spent most of my 20 years in the IT field performing some level of network and information security task. Most of that time really focused on delivering edge security and remote access solutions for large enterprise. Celestix Networks has been around for quite some time as well. We've been in the business since 1999. First introduced, our first security appliances were actually Checkpoint hardware appliance platforms, so we used to deliver Checkpoint-based security solutions. Have produced security appliances for exclusively throughout the life of the company, originally starting with, again, Checkpoint, but also delivering security appliances for companies like RSA, WebSense, Surf Control, BMC, a number of other customers as well. Celestix does have a worldwide presence. We're headquartered here in the Bay Area, in the East Bay, in Northern California, Fremont, California, but we do have offices in the United Kingdom, Europe, Asia Pacific region as well. We have a pretty extensive customer list, and our solutions are available around the world from partners and resellers in your region. I'm certain of it. So today's webinar, I wanted to talk about some of the challenges that we face as security administrators managing our remote systems. There are some significant challenges that our remote Windows managed platforms pose, and I want to talk about specifically those challenges, but then I also want to offer a solution that can really benefit a number of people tremendously. So again, with our field-based remote clients, there are a number of challenges that we face. So first of all, these remote systems are notoriously difficult to manage. Once we place our corporate image on the laptop, we get all the software installed, configured, all the security settings in place, security software up to date, and so forth. We hand it to that, and I'm going to pick on the sales folks in this call. So if you're in sales, I apologize. But we hand the laptop off to our field sales engineer, and they take it, and it goes out out the doors of our building, never to be seen or heard from again. It may occasionally, through some sort of client-based VPN, check in with the corporate network to access something, but ultimately we as security administrators and systems management professionals really lose sight of those systems. So again, notoriously difficult to manage. They are troublesome to monitor as well. We have difficulty in really determining what kind of state these field-based systems are unless and until the user has a problem with it, and of course they either return to the CorpNet or they ask somebody to assist them with some sort of problem. They're of course challenging to update. Oftentimes our remote field systems are configured to use corporate internal systems management repositories. So we manage and maintain the update repositories for these systems using something like System Center or WSS or something like that. And again, if the system leaves the premises, then of course we have some challenges there with maintaining up-to-date systems. In addition, all of this represents a real serious, kind of blind spot in terms of compliance. I have no way to effectively determine the security posture and the state of configuration of my remote field-based clients because, again, they're not constantly managed. They're not reporting into my systems management servers. So consequently, if let's say I have an organization of, let's say 10,000 desktops, and of those I have 2,000 laptops, I might have some real issues when my CISO says, what is the patch rate? What is the rate of deployment for a specific hot fix to address a vulnerability that's being exploited in the wild today. I may be able to effectively report on my bolted-in CorpNet machines, but those field-based laptops present a real challenge and present kind of a black hole with regards to how those systems are actually being managed and maintained. So this is where DirectAccess can come in and really be tremendously beneficial from that respect. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with DirectAccess, just kind of a brief high-level introduction. DirectAccess is an always-on, seamless and transparent remote access solution based on commonly deployed Windows platform technologies. Many of these technologies you already have deployed in your environment today. Things like IPsec, Active Directory and group policy, Windows clients, of course. We're going to take advantage of some of the features of the Windows clients to assemble this solution that we call DirectAccess. The hallmark of DirectAccess, of course, is ease of use. The user doesn't have to initiate a connection to the CorpNet. It is always on, and with that, the user has the user experience is of course very easy. The users can access applications and data and resources on the CorpNet inside the network the same as they do outside the network. So regardless of where they are, they use the same familiar user experience for them to do their work. They're much more productive. It reduces help desk calls and so forth. And one of the things that really sets DirectAccess apart from any other remote access solution is the fact that it is bidirectional. This enables some unique use cases and deployment scenarios, allows us to manage out, and it's this manage out functionality and capability that enables us to greatly improve the security posture of our remote Windows managed systems. Again, this is a solution that is focused on specific client set. These are Windows managed clients specifically. DirectAccess is not a solution for non-managed clients. It's not a solution to address mobile devices and consumer type devices, BYOD. The good news is that we do have some capabilities that are built into the Celestix solution that address those, and I'm going to talk about those on a slide a little bit later in the webinar. So, how is it that we can leverage DirectAccess to improve our security and compliance? Well, let's talk about a couple of ways that we can do that. The fact that DirectAccess means that our DirectAccess clients are always connected. Anytime they have a connection to the internet, they will be automatically, seamlessly, transparently connected back to the CorpNet. What that means is that when the user who has, when they log on to their laptop, has an active internet connection, since DirectAccess authenticates at the machine level, the computer is actually already connected to the CorpNet. That means when the user hits Control-Alt-Delete, they authenticate against a live domain controller. And again, from a security perspective, this is tremendously beneficial because, for one, if I disable a user's Active Directory account, they won't be able to log on to that laptop. It doesn't use cache credentials, again, as long as there is an internet connection established before the user gets to the Control-Alt-Delete login prompt. And then, of course, since it's always connected and always communicating on the network, it's doing things like updating its Active Directory group policy. So that means that as you, as security administrators, change security settings or configuration settings for your laptops, what that means is that those field-based units will actually get those updates promptly, so you don't have to worry about long delays or lag time before all of your Active Directory group policy updates are actually applied to those field-based units. And of course, DirectAccess clients are always managed with consistent and reliable infrastructure communication available to them. It means that we have the ability to much more consistently enforce our configuration and our settings. So we have the ability to maintain the configuration state on our remote systems as well as we do our bolted-in CorpNet machines, our traditional, the classic workstation, if you will. And of course, all of this means that DirectAccess clients are always compliant. Your compliance rates are going to be much more beneficial. In the example that I used previously, we had 10,000 Windows clients. 2,000 of those were laptops. In this case, since they are always connected, always managed, it means that they are always up to date, or certainly much more consistently up to date than there are with traditional remote access solutions. And of course, since they have access to the corporate network infrastructure, they are reporting their health into our systems management servers. So again, if you're using SCCM or any number of third-party solutions, I can demonstrate this quantifiably via my reporting tools to state, yes, the effective patch rate for this specific update is X, and that also includes all of my field clients, and I have a high level of assurance and high degree of confidence that I am well protected whether my machines are inside the network or out. So some common use cases for direct access, of course. One of the most common use cases is remote assistance. We can use this to perform, again, traditional Windows remote assistance or remote desktop, or if you have any third-party solutions, you can use those as well. Again, with direct access, I do have the ability through its bi-directional connectivity to initiate communication outbound to connected direct access clients. That also means that I can proactively conduct things like vulnerability assessments and so forth. I can perform threat mitigation, and a real common use case here is, for example, let's take a scenario in which Microsoft, in between Update Tuesday cycles, so 2 weeks after Update Tuesday, they announce a vulnerability in Internet Explorer. Potentially, this is potentially critical with remote code execution capabilities. The mitigation is to deploy a registry setting to mitigate this until such time as there's a security update available, which would be available during the next cycle. I have the ability easily to do that to all my bolted-in CorpNet machines. The nice thing with direct access, with bidirectional connectivity, is that I can extend that to my field-based clients. And again, I can make those settings and verify them to all of my field-based direct access clients. And of course, if you have an automated software deployment solution, most of the software deployment solutions will work without any changes to your infrastructure, because the client initiates communication to the CorpNet inbound. However, if you have push some software deployment solutions that use push mechanisms, then those certainly will work with direct access as well. So let's get to a little bit of demonstration. I just want to show everybody just a couple of very quick examples of how you can use direct access to do some of the things that we've talked about. So the first thing I want to do is jump over here to a Windows client. This is just a Windows 8 Enterprise client, and what I want to demonstrate here is that this this particular Windows client is on the public internet. As a matter of fact, the first thing I think I'll do here is just open up a PowerShell window. We will look at, bear with me. So let's take a look at this. We should have, so this client is on my lab, but it is directly connected to the public internet, and you'll see that I have a public IPv4 address assigned to its network adapter. In this case, we'll visit one of my favorite sites to demonstrate what my IP address is, getip.com, and it should indicate that I have a public IPv4 address, just so that you can see that I'm connected to the real live public internet. There's no no smoke and mirrors here. Great. So again, I still you can see that I still have my public IPv4 address. So I can get to most websites just as I would normally. I'm out, maybe for example, this is my corporate issued laptop. I'm now at the Starbucks across the street from the office. But however, I need to get to an application called App 1, and I even have a shortcut on my desktop to it. So I'm just going to double click on this, and you'll see with direct access, I'm still able to access that resource by its single label host name. This is tremendously beneficial because it means that, again, when I talked about at the outset the familiar user experience, the user accesses applications the same outside the network as they do inside the network. So I don't have to teach my users that if you're on the CorpNet, if you're in the building, you use this URL, but if you're outside, you have to log into the portal or you have to use a different URL. I don't have to do that. I just use the same application names as I do inside as I do outside. This is tremendously beneficial in cases like this where the user has a shortcut. Users are trained to use the shortcut. I can even populate that shortcut via group policy, put it on their desktops, and I don't have to worry about users trying to access this with outside the network or having to manually initiate or establish a VPN client session before you click on this. The users are going to click on this, and in this case with direct access, it still works. I have access to just about any resource from my client. For example, here you see I'm still mapped to my home drive, and in this case I still have access to documents that are on my home drive even when I'm outside of the network. So I can do the work that I need to do and update and manage my applications, get to my data and resources, all of this over a connection that's always on, seamless, and transparent. And again, as I had stated, the familiar user experience is really kind of one of the primary benefits to direct access. However, and again, the point of today's webinar is that we can leverage this as security administrators to provide a much more secure remote computing experience for our users. So let's go. I'm going to jump over here to an application server. In my lab, this is App 1. This could, in theory, represent a help desk administrator's workstation, an administrator or a security and compliance administrator's workstation, maybe a systems and management administrator's workstation. It could be many organizations use dedicated management workstations which people will log into. It has all the tools they use to manage their networks and so forth, and then manage from there. But anyway, in any case, this is what we're talking about. This is a management workstation. So here what I want to do is I want to use a couple of different tools just to quickly give you an idea of the capabilities here. So first, let's jump over here. First, let's go ahead and see if we can connect to, in this case, I think that was client 1. So here, I can ping client 1, and the first thing you'll notice, of course, it responds from an IPv6 address. It's really important to understand that direct access from a client perspective is an IPv6 only solution. You shouldn't panic about IPv6 because you don't have to know anything about IPv6 to deploy direct access. You don't even have to know how to spell IPv6 to deploy direct access. You will have to know something about direct access to troubleshoot it if things go wrong, but at the end of the day, you don't have to deploy direct access in your CorpNet, and that'll be a subject of another webinar. Anyway, point is that it communicates via IPv6, so I did have to do some configuration to this particular machine to enable that. And again, we'll probably talk about that in detail in another webinar, so look for that in the future. However, I'm able to talk to this. What I want to do actually is use a very popular tool for conducting vulnerability, well, not vulnerability assessments, but network security posture, I guess, and that is the Nmap tool. So I have Nmap installed in this machine, and when you, just for those of you who are techies out there, you use Nmap just a little bit differently when you're going over IPv6, because again, I have to use IPv6 to communicate to those remote clients. So you have to use a few different settings, but here basically what I'm going to do is initiate a port scan of my remote system. Maybe I'm looking for a specific port that's open. Here I want to look at the ports 1 through 600. So I'm going to go ahead and kick off that scan, and you'll see that I did this by its host name. So that host name again was registered in DNS with its IPv6 address. So it's going to run this scan, and we'll come back to it and take a look at that. But here I want to show and just kind of demonstrate one of the basic Microsoft tools, the Baseline Security Analyzer. But this tool allows us to look at a number of different security configurations and settings on a computer, whether it be local or remote. So I'm going to choose the option to scan a computer, and one of the first things you'll notice here is that you can put in the name or the IP address. This tool clearly doesn't support IPv6 yet because it just has our 4 fields for our familiar 32-bit dotted decimal IPv4 address notation. So clearly we can't put the IPv6 address in there, but again, this name is registered in DNS, so we should be able to type in its name. Great, and for the sake of brevity, I'm not going to run a full scan, but I'm going to look for Windows vulnerabilities and check for weak passwords on this remote connected machine. So we'll kick off that scan, and if everything goes well, this will complete in just another minute or two. So let's go ahead. So it's conducting that scan, and again, this is a machine that's outside of the corporate network. It's in a Starbucks, it's in a hotel, it's at home. We don't know where it is, but since it's on and has an active internet connection, I can talk to it. I can initiate a communication session outbound. So let's see. So we still have our network scan running, so that's taking a minute or two to run. Let's jump back over here, and we'll watch this exciting green progress bar. we can actually probably run another scan for just a particular port, but thankfully this is done, so we'll jump over here and take a look at that and come back to it. So here we have a report. So our MBSA reported on the a security assessment of this particular remote system, and it actually found some challenges here. The nice thing about this is that, again, if I'm looking for and trying to mitigate a very specific vulnerability, I can do so. If I just want to conduct a general assessment of the security posture of not only my internal clients but my external, I can do so using the same familiar tools that we use today. The only thing that I would caution you is that if you use tools that connect directly via IPv4 addresses, those will not work. But as long as they use host names, you should be fine. So anyway, again, that's generally not going to be problematic, but ultimately what I can do is assess with this tool the security posture of those remote clients and mitigate any of those threats, make any changes, and I can address those vulnerabilities or challenges here just as I would if the machine was in my CorpNet. And here you see that my network scan is completed. So here you'll see that the scan report for this particular client was completed. It has some open ports. If I have some issues with these, again, I can address those as I want or as I choose using whatever tools that I use if these clients were in my corporate network. So for example, I could use remote assistance tools. Here you can actually see, let's see here. I can type. I can, there it is, client 1. I can actually initiate a remote desktop session to it. And again, wherever this client lives or exists, I'm able to connect to and manage it from here. I can manage this system using PowerShell remoting. I can use WMI. I can use MMC, NetSH, whatever tools that you want to use, whether they be native tools, third-party tools. Most of your management tools will work via DirectAccess, so you don't have to worry about that. So again, as you can see, this is a pretty powerful platform with which you can leverage not only to provide a better user experience for your remote clients, but ultimately you can use it to improve your security posture for your organization. So I think that that's tremendously beneficial. And again, these demonstrations that I showed you here today, obviously very, very rudimentary. Not a lot I can do in a 30-minute webinar, but you get the idea for the model with which DirectAccess works on. Fundamentally, it's much different than traditional client-based VPNs, and so this hopefully will give you an idea and perhaps to kind of kick on those light bulbs in your heads as to what kinds of things you can do in your particular environment to leverage DirectAccess. Excellent. So earlier I had stated that, of course, DirectAccess is for Windows-managed clients. The good news is that if you have something other than that, which many organizations do today, we have a solution that meets those particular needs. Of course, the Windows, the Celestix E-Series is the solution that I'm talking about, and this delivers DirectAccess and more. It's built on Windows Server 2012 R2, so it delivers the unified remote access capabilities of the underlying operating system. It's delivered in our advanced hardware appliance platform. This is not a white box solution. These are not industry standard servers. These are dedicated purpose-built security devices that are turnkey and ready to deploy and feature a certified configuration with predictable performance, and that's essential when you're talking about a solution like DirectAccess. It provides a comprehensive remote access solution. So today we focused on DirectAccess, but again, DirectAccess is focused primarily or exclusively at managed Windows clients. So if you have non-managed Windows clients or mobile devices, you can use client-based VPN, and it supports traditional or legacy client-based VPN using the standard protocols that you're probably familiar with. It does include a new reverse proxy called the Web Application Proxy, which is used for application publishing. It does support the remote desktop gateway and remote app capabilities, so if you want to use it to leverage those capabilities to deliver desktops or applications, you can certainly use that as well. And then it includes the Workplace Join and Work Folders features, which are new features of the Windows Server 2012 R2 to address mobile device management, and not so much management, but really mobile device access, conditional access to corporate data and file synchronization and so forth. So some interesting capabilities in there as well. So that brings us to the end of the webinar. I appreciate everybody joining. I do want to take a couple of minutes and answer any questions if you have them. So if you want to pose that in the chat window, I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys have at this time. And let's see if I can find the questions here. Oh, there we go. Okay, give me 1 second. The window for the chat is really small. Let's see. So looking through some of these questions. Okay, so the first question: will we be having another session to address non-managed clients? We certainly can do that, David. The solution covers a number of different capabilities. You know, again, traditional client-based VPN, which it still provides a great solution for. Some of the other features like remote desktop, web application proxy. We'll certainly talk about those in the future. So I'm confident that we'll be covering that again in the near future. So. However you found out about this webinar, you will find out about the next webinar in the same fashion. If you have questions, of course, just direct those to sales@celestix.com, and somebody will be able to answer your questions immediately. Next question: does this work with Windows 7 Professional? So DirectAccess does not work with Windows 7 Professional. So DirectAccess is designed to work, or works exclusively with, only a handful of client SKUs. It works exclusively with Windows 7 Enterprise or Ultimate Edition, and it works with Windows 8 and 8.1, 8.x if you want to call it that, Enterprise Edition. It does not work with any other client SKUs, and of course those machines have to be domain joined. So if you have any of those clients that are not domain joined, of course they will need to be joined to the domain to support DirectAccess. If you have Windows 8 Professional, if you have Windows 7 Professional or Home Edition, DirectAccess does not work with that. So you will need to have Enterprise Edition clients to support that. The good news is that Microsoft's made it easier to get Enterprise Edition clients. So it used to be that in order to have the Enterprise license for client desktops, you had to actually have an Enterprise agreement. Today, you can actually just purchase Enterprise licenses from your Microsoft license reseller, and you can upgrade your clients to Enterprise Edition in a very cost-effective manner. Next question, infrastructure and architecture design overview. Now, let's say if you had proliferation of devices and different cloud services, any advice in this area? So yeah, that's probably a whole conversation in itself, David. I apologize. But certainly this solution is one that lends itself well to providing secure remote access for a wide variety of platforms. Today we focused on DirectAccess and specifically the security benefits of DirectAccess. Many organizations have a rather large installed base of corporate-owned, corporate-managed, and corporate-issued mobile devices, laptops, and certainly Windows tablets now that they are issuing to their customers. We are working with Fortune 500 and Fortune 100 companies around the world to implement solutions like this, and many also smaller organizations as well. And so it's becoming quite popular and effective for that. But certainly the Celestix E-Series solutions does cover a number of those things, and we'll be talking about those more in more detail in the future. Also, keep an eye on the Celestix website. We do author some content occasionally there that may address some of those questions and concerns that you have. All right, so we're just a minute over. I apologize, but looks like we've had a great turnout today. Lots of people on the call. I want to thank everybody for their time today. I do appreciate everybody taking time out of their day to listen to us talk about and extol the virtues of direct access and security, of course. If you have questions about our solutions, go to celestix.com/edge. You will find out all about the Celestix E-Series appliance, which is the solution we've been talking about today. If you have any specific questions, technical or non-technical, if you'd like a product demonstration, if you'd like to know more about how it would fit in your specific environment, certainly just drop a note to sales@celestix.com. Let them know you heard about us on the webinar. You had additional questions, and you would like to have those explored and answered in more detail. So sales@celestix.com is the email alias to use there, and somebody will reach out to you. The field sales folks in your region would be able to connect with you pretty promptly. So thanks again for your time, everyone. I appreciate it. Have a great day, and we'll talk again soon.